Good evening, everybody. Could you please confirm if I'm audible? Please put a yes in the chat if I'm audible. All right, thank you. Good evening once again. A very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you all for registering and attending this webinar on opportunities in cybersecurity, which is organized by IPSR Solutions Limited. Now, this is as part of our 25th Jubilee year celebrations. We are hosting a webinar series focused on careers and technology. The topic for November is opportunities in cybersecurity. We already had a session in October on opportunities in data science and AI. Now, in today's webinar on opportunities in cybersecurity, in this webinar, you will explore emerging roles in cybersecurity, understand the job landscape from threat analysts to ethical hackers, gain practical advice, get actionable career tips on certifications, skills, and how to thrive in cybersecurity. Now, my name is 𝐶𝐨 𝐒𝐴𝐺. I'm working as Global Relations Manager with IPSR Solutions Limited, and I will be the event moderator. Now, please note, everybody, I've seen some questions regarding the certificate, how to get your certificate. Now, we have sent the LMS, that's the Learning Management System credentials, to all the registered participants to their email. Your certificate will be available in the LMS and ready to download in the LMS by Tuesday, that is 26th November. From that day onwards, you can download your certificate. What you need to do is you will need to complete the quiz and the feedback form to download the certificate. The LMS access will be open to you till the 30th November 2024. Now, you can also alternatively attend this session through the YouTube live streaming, the link of which I've already shared in the chat. So if you have any issues with audio or anything, you can also just switch on to the alternative live streaming session that is happening through YouTube. Now, coming on to introductions, a brief introduction about IPSR. IPSR is led by a team of academicians and entrepreneurs. IPSR is a public limited IT company with 25 years of experience in software product development, training services, placement services, and web-based services. During the last 2 decades, IPSR has worked with over 500 academic organizations, including government universities, autonomous colleges, technical and non-technical institutions. IPSR's training division conducts faculty development trainings, seminars, workshops, add-on courses, corporate trainings, job-oriented training, etc. in the education, IT, and ITES domain. And IPSR has been the training partner for the Technical Education Quality Improvement Program, TechIP, a World Bank assessor project executed in government engineering colleges by the Indian Ministry of HRD. Now, IPSR is the world's leading radar training and certification partner with 37 national and international awards and has produced the highest number of radar professionals in the world. So far, IPSR has trained candidates from 60+ countries. Now, IPSR's IT Services Division is a pioneer in development of academic solution products, incorporating cutting-edge technologies like artificial intelligence, data analytics, machine learning. And IPSR also offers specialized services and solutions for the education sector, ranging from simple website to complex software applications that help to manage academic and operational activities like question paper generation, campus automation, accreditation process, NAC, NBA, etc., and OBE, outcome-based education. IPSR's placement division is having 1,600+ placement tie-up companies and are conducting recruitment on almost all days. Now, if possible, could you all please turn on your videos for 30 seconds so that we would like to take a screenshot for our documentation purpose. Yes, please turn on your videos for 30 seconds and then you can turn it off. Okay, let's move on. We will move on to the first session that will be the introduction to the webinar. Now, this is going to be done by Dr. Mendes Jacob, who's an MSc, MPhil, PhD, and MIOD. Now, Dr. Mendes Jacob is the MD and CEO of IPSR Solutions Limited. He's also the professor and director of MCA, Marine College 𝐾𝐚𝐫 Autonomous. He's an academician and entrepreneur with 35 plus years of experience and has been a resource person for a number of career talks in IT and in management. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, 𝐶𝐨. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, sir.
So good evening to all the participants. As 𝐶𝐨 mentioned, this is part of our Jubilee year celebrations. Almost every month we are conducting a webinar like this to create awareness among the students and also among the faculty members regarding the latest careers in IT. Today's section is on cybersecurity. We have an eminent resource person, Mr. 𝐲𝐻𝐵 will be delivering a talk on the opportunities, and of course there will be a demonstration of some particular cybersecurity applications. I will just share my PPT. I will have a small introduction about this program, and after that Mr. Sagar will take over the section. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So we have around 3,000 participants registered for this program, and some of them are attending through the WebEx platform, some others attending through our YouTube live sessions. And all the participants will get the LMS link where we have the recorded video of this entire section will be available, so that you can go through the videos later. Maybe some if there are some connectivity issues, you can have the recorded video through LMS. Okay, career opportunities in cybersecurity. I will just go through some of the statistics and some ideas. Mr. Sagar will elaborate on it. How the industry is growing in cybersecurity. You can see some numbers here. The market value of global cybersecurity market is reaching by 2024, by this end of this year, it will reach $300 billion. So that is the market value of this particular area. And we have job openings expected by 2025. We have a 50% increase in cloud security jobs in 2022. That is one of the important aspects we are looking into, because nowadays everybody knows the servers are on cloud, and we are hosting applications and products on cloud. So cloud security is one of the most important area we have to look upon. But what are the cybersecurity careers in demand? Mr. Sagar will be exploring more on it. Just for namesake, I'm just going through some of these areas. Cloud security engineer, then penetration tester, incident responder, security consultant, security analyst. All these are some of the areas where even the freshers can look upon. And there are other areas like CISO. That is another profile which the experienced people in cybersecurity, they can focus or they can concentrate on those areas. Okay. And again, regarding the cloud security, it's a growing concern for many of the organizations, because nowadays 90% of organizations, they use cloud services. 60% of security breaches occur in the cloud. So of course, this is one of the hottest area if somebody is interested in the cybersecurity career. This is one of the specializations you can look into. There are job roles like a cloud security engineer, cloud compliance specialist, or cloud architect. All these areas are there. Then another area is penetration testing, identifying vulnerabilities. That is also another hot area, especially for the freshers. Simulated cyber attacks to test defenses. Then the job roles you can see: penetration tester, vulnerability assessor, security researcher. All these are the job profiles. Then coming to AI, because nowadays everybody knows this is the era of artificial intelligence. Of course, we can use AI again for threat detection and defense. See, for example, for threat detection, AI-powered threat detection and prediction can be done. Incident response, machine learning-based incident response. Security analytics, natural language processing for security analytics. Then security automation, AI-driven security orchestration and automation. Intelligence security is information system, information and event management. So these are some of the areas where AI can be applied in cybersecurity. The statistics: 61% of organizations use AI ML for cybersecurity. $13.6 billion. Okay, AI-powered security solution to reach this much volume by 2025. Again, 55% reduction in false positives with the AI-powered security. So most of the organizations now working in the cybersecurity area, they are using AI. So that is also another area where, if you are interested in AI and in cybersecurity, that is one of the hottest area where you can find a good career in future. Now, the cybersecurity salary ranges in India. This is only a broad, data. We can see different cybersecurity consultant, cloud security engineer, penetration tester, threat analyst, then security analyst. The salary ranges are also given. If you can go to any job portal, definitely you can verify it. So these are also from the data collected from different sources, reliable sources. So this is about the cybersecurity. Now, more elaborations will be there on this topic by the resource person. Now, coming to IPSR and why we conduct these programs and how we conduct these programs, I will just give you some idea. This is the Jubilee year of IPSR. We have 25 years old now. Our mission, transforming education to empower students and educators through innovative IT and academic mentorship, impacting millions and building brighter futures. This is our mission. And focusing on the mission for the last 25 years, IPSR has been a trusted partner in transforming lives, empowering over 1 lakh students to excel in IT careers. Or in other words, we can say we were able to touch the lives of more than 1 lakh students, so that we are also helping families. In the last 7 years, we have trained and mentored more than 35,000 faculty members across 1,000+ higher education institutions, solidifying our legacy of innovation and impact in the education sector. We are not only just focusing on the students, but we are focusing on the faculty members, and through faculty members, we are reaching out to students. And our future plans. As we celebrate our Jubilee year, we are intensifying our efforts to support the student community. Our focus is on equipping students with the skills needed to thrive in the emerging IT fields. We offer add-on courses. We have a lot of training programs, both offline and online, through our company branches all over Kerala and some branches outside India. At the same time, we are also offering add-on courses in higher education institutions so that we can reach to more students. And we also provide internship opportunities to bridge the gap between academies and industry expectations. And for the last 4 or 5 years, during the COVID time, we have introduced some particular internship programs. We offer internship programs online, and thousands of students have benefited out of it. Through these initiatives, we aim to reach and benefit lakhs of students, helping them to secure IT careers and contribute meaningfully to the ever-evolving tech landscape. This is our aim. And about IPSR, already an introduction was given by Mr. Sijin. Our IT service division is a pioneer in development of academic solution products. Again, we are also focusing on the academics. Incorporating cutting-edge technologies like artificial intelligence, we have developed some AI platforms also. So during the last 2 decades, IPSR has worked with more than 500 academic organizations, including government universities, autonomous colleges, and other institutions. These are some of the products in the education sector. We have developed products like 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, which is a software used by many universities and autonomous colleges across India. This is for conducting exams. Then we have another product called accreditation. Then for OB implementation, attainment calculation, we have another product called 𝗖𝐴. And our latest product that is an AI platform, that is 𝗖𝗆𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, which is being used by more than 10,000 faculty members all over India and by reputed universities and education institutions. So through this developing this product, our team has gained an expertise and experience in the corresponding areas, and we are also transferring that expertise. We are sharing that technology expertise with our students so that they can also find a good career in the future. And in our training division, we started our training in 2000, but we were focusing more on the open source. From 2003 onwards, we are a Red Hat partner. Red Hat is the biggest open source company in the world. In 2003, we became a Red Hat partner. With the 9 students, we started our journey in 2003. And in 2004, we became the #1 in India, bagging as a national award. And for the last 20 years, we have bagged 37 national and international awards from Red Hat, and we have produced the highest number of Red Hat professionals in the world. And most of our alumni, they are working in top companies in top positions. And about IPSR, IPSR in numbers, we have 25 years of experience, 4 offices in Kerala and 3 subsidiary companies abroad in UK, US, and Canada. 40+ national and international awards we received. 1 lakh plus candidates we have trained and mentored. 35,000 faculty members we have trained. 25+ courses we are offering, delivering. And we have 1,500+ companies we have tie-up, and every day we are conducting a recruitment, a job a day. 20+ training instructors, 50+ academy tie-ups. We have 4 PhD holders in our training team. 60+, we have students from 60+ countries. 30+ FDPs and workshops we have conducted. 5,000+ global certifications provided. 10,000+ internship we have provided during the last 25 years. 500+ recruitment drives we have conducted. 500+ institutions we have mentored. 100+ institutions we have our academic solutions provided. So that's about our numbers. And these are the trending courses at IPSR. We started with the open source training in 2003. And we are focusing more on the Red Hat courses because these are the hottest technologies in the IT field. In 2003, we started with the 1 certification, that is Red Hat Certified Engineer. Red Hat also, when they started in India, they had only 1 certification at that point of time. But now they are offering 50+ certifications. And we are also delivering all these certifications through our branches. That shows the growth of the Red Hat technologies, and especially almost all the Fortune 500 companies, they are using Red Hat technologies. And the current trend is AI. Everybody is interested in a course in AI and find a career in AI. But definitely, the students who are interested in AI, we can support them. And cybersecurity also, these are the recent additions to our course catalog. And again, I will tell you, our team is experienced in all these areas. We have the development division, we have the products. That's why we are focusing more on the latest technologies. And in cybersecurity, we are offering all these type of courses like penetration testing, cloud security, security operations center, and Android penetration testing, web application penetration testing, Docker security, Kubernetes security, exploit development. All these areas we are focusing, and these are the emerging areas. And especially with some of the areas like cloud security, we have our experienced team because we are also hosting our applications and products on the cloud servers. So we understand the importance of cloud security, and that practical experience we are sharing with our students. And everybody knows these are the opportunities of tomorrow, like DevOps, cloud, AI, data science, Internet of Things, cybersecurity, automation, public cloud, edge computing, telco, 5G. All these are the new technologies, and these are the opportunities of tomorrow. And all they are connected to Linux. So that's why we are focusing more on the Linux, because if you want to a career in cybersecurity, definitely you should be thorough with Linux. If you want to be AI professional, definitely you have to start with the Linux. DevOps, cloud, wherever you go, Linux is the basis. So you should start with the Linux. And we also, when we discuss with students, we also point out that making impossible possible is very important. This is our success story. We can tell you we have produced the youngest RNC in the world at the age of 11. We have many students from 11 to 15 years who have cleared the Red Hat certification, which is actually done by experienced professionals. Then we have the youngest Red Hat certified security specialist, 13 years of age. And we have produced the youngest Red Hat certified architects. They are 18 years of age. At that time, they have cleared that certification. RHCA means they have to certify 7 global certifications. Then only they will become a Red Hat certified architect. So before joining the BTech course, 2 of our students, they have cleared the Red Hat certified architect certification course. Then students with back papers, we have even students with 40 or 50 back papers for their BTech. Now they are working in multinational companies. One example is one BTech student who have completed his BTech in mechanical, but cleared only for 6 courses. Now he is working in a multinational company with a salary of 40 lakhs after clearing all these Red Hat certification course from IPSR. Students with career gaps, non-IT students like BBA, MBA, hotel management, then physiotherapy, commerce, BA English or BA Malayalam, ECP 6 months. All these students once they cleared their certification, and if they are interested in IT, definitely we can find out, we can arrange a career for them, IT career. So we always say, first of all, you have to identify your skills as a student, where you are strong, you have to identify that. Then you have to have the strong fundamentals. Then value addition, of course, soft skills and hard skills. Grab the right opportunity at the right time. That is very important. That is why we are conducting these awareness seminars, webinars, through which we are actually sharing the knowledge of the professionals to the students so that they can identify the opportunity, where the opportunity is. And I can tell you, nothing is impossible if you have the attitude and passion in IT. So I have shown the names of the students, the category of the students who are successful through IPSR. They are all, many of them are non-IT students. Many of them are below 15 years of age, only because they have the right attitude and passion towards technology. So if you have the right attitude and passion towards technology, definitely you can be a good IT professional in future. Okay. Now, these are our Jubilee Year initiatives, like we are conducting webinars and the seminars, awareness programs every month. And there is a program called Check Your Aptitude. So you can check your aptitude. There is a link provided that will be provided through the learning management system. So you can have a skill assessment. You can go through that link and you can have a skill assessment. We offer some free courses during this Jubilee year, like on cybersecurity, DevOps, and Linux, etc., so that you can undergo these free courses and you can check your aptitude, whether you can check whether you are good in IT. That is one area. And we are offering a lot of scholarships and internship during this, especially during this Jubilee year. So you will get information about all these things. And we have highly subsidized course on Linux automation and cloud and DevOps during this year. Especially, we have a lot of opportunities in cloud and DevOps coming up. So along with cybersecurity, so we offer many courses, and to help more students, we have subsidized our course fee during this Jubilee year. Okay, so that's about company, and that's about this program. If you have any further doubts, definitely you can contact me. This is my mobile number. It's available. It's a WhatsApp number. You can send a message. Definitely you will get a reply. And my mail ID is also there. And if you want to connect with me through LinkedIn, this is the QR code of my LinkedIn profile. Of course, if you have any doubts or any clarifications required at the end of this program, you can have it in the chat box. We will have a Q&A section. Now, our resource person will take over this section so that we'll have a technical section on cybersecurity. Okay. So thank you for your patience. And if you have any clarifications required, doubts or anything like that, definitely we will answer all your queries at the end of the program. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Mentor sir. Thank you for that wonderful session. Now we will move on to the technical session, and the resource person for this technical session is going to be Mr. Sagar Chandrasekhar. Mr. Sagar is a seasoned cybersecurity expert with over 20 years of experience in securing global enterprises across diverse industries. As a principal security researcher at 𝗪𝗟𝗃, he focuses on enhancing enterprise security products. Sagar has played key roles in architecting and securing softwares for leading organizations like McAfee, Philips, Beckman Coulter, TÜV and AOL Incorporated, implementing secure SDLC practices across 800 plus product releases. He has also authored 25 plus cybersecurity courses on topics such as exploit development, penetration testing, fuzzing, and application security. In his free time, Sagar participates in bug bounty programs, discovering vulnerabilities in applications of major companies. Over to you, Mr. Sagar.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. So let me share my screen, then we can get started. Hope everyone can see my screen.
Yeah, it is visible.
Thank you. So this session will talk about cybersecurity unlocked. The whole idea about the session is to make you understand how to get into cybersecurity and what are the key areas to focus as a new cybersecurity engineer. And once you start to grow in any given industry, then how you basically can focus into multiple areas of cybersecurity domains. And followed by a demo showcasing a critical vulnerability which affects a given enterprise, and how exactly the cybersecurity is going to play a key role in securing such enterprises. So let me go to the next slide. So we'll begin with understanding what is cybersecurity, as we're all new here. Then we're going to see what are the various cybersecurity terminologies we use today. For example, if I say a vulnerability, if I say attack, most of you may not be able to understand. So I want to define these terminologies before getting into the critical topics here. Then we're going to talk about various domains in cybersecurity and how you can get started in cybersecurity and what are your career paths. We have already seen in the previous presentation some of the career paths which are mentioned, and I'm going to go in depth on them. I'm kind of going to give you a clear certification path, what certification you need to take in order to say get started with your cybersecurity journey. Then we will get started with AI revolution, and then finally the demo. So I request everyone to be on mute. Thank you. So what is cybersecurity for us? So cybersecurity, you can assume that it's a practice. Basically, you're going to safeguard the digital system, networks, and application from harmful intrusions. So the harmful intrusions typically come from adversaries, or what we call them as hackers or attackers, who are going to attack a given, say, application, system, or a nation's network in order to do unauthorized, say, or access or potential harm. So here, in terms of cybersecurity, here we're going to implement various protective measures in a layer defense approach in order to secure such vulnerable networks, data, and applications. The key focus of cybersecurity is to protect CIA, that is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality is all about securing the confidential data of a given organization or a person so that no unauthorized access can happen on that. Integrity is all about ensuring that the data which is already there in your, say, devices, servers, or applications maintain their integrity without any manipulation. And finally, the availability. The data should be available for everyone at any given point, anywhere to access without losing its confidentiality or integrity. So this is the key focus of any given, say, cybersecurity protection measures. So we are going to exactly focus on these three areas in any given cybersecurity domain. So how secure we are in 2024? So as we know that internet has penetrated deep in not only in our country, but around the globe. So our threat has kind of increased potentially very much because of our ever presence on online. We all have WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook applications installed on our phone. And this gives an opportunity for the online scammers or the attackers to either to scam us or try to take control of our devices to gather sensitive data from our devices. So, for example, this is the latest online scam which is going around in our country, which is called as the fake cop scam. So here the victim, once he receives a message on WhatsApp or through SMS, once he clicks on that, he will be tricked to join a WhatsApp call in which the person who is going to be on the other side will represent himself as a cop and try to scam you, saying that you have done some, say, cybersecurity crime, so that you need to send some amount of money to, say, a UP government or whatever it is, in order to close this case. So this is one of the latest scams which is going around. And of course, you might have heard about the FedEx scams. We are going to get a call that you have received a FedEx parcel, and it's stuck in the customs. In order to get it released, you need to pay some money. So these are the two ongoing scams in our country at the moment. So I would like to say, be careful about this and never click any sort of links on your SMS or WhatsApp. So moving on, we also see that there are various threats in our everyday life. Since we have robotic vacuums today and various IoT devices at home which are connected to the internet, it's pretty easy to kind of take control of them because of vulnerability which could exist in them. In our home, you might have seen that you have your fridge which is connected to the internet, then you have your Chromecast, and you have your various devices. And most of the time we don't patch them. So this gives a chance to the attackers to take control of that. And then you will be sent with various links which will download various fake applications, which is going to act like a Facebook application or a banking application, deploying fake access screens onto your original application, collecting your, say, usernames and passwords. And during the Diwali of 2024, we saw the significant rise in online scams, including the phishing attacks, because this is where the opportunity for attackers will pitch in, trying to lure you with fake discounts, with fake links, where you will expect to click on that and then say take control of your devices. And what is the common misconceptions we have? Like a normal person, you always think that why would someone attack me? Because I'm not important. But most of the time, your ignorance is what the online scammers are waiting for. See, 45% of the adults who have fallen to victim when fallen to the cybersecurity attack basically have this mindset. They click on everything, whatever they receive in their email, WhatsApp, or SMS without even thinking twice. And also, if you are a business owner, you will think that my business is very small and I don't need to worry too much about that. But again, most of the small businesses are the easy targets for the attackers because the small businesses do not have any layered different defenses to protect from cybersecurity attacks. And finally, the mindset that I don't have anything to worth stealing. Again, this is something which we should be careful about, because it's not about only money all the time. It's about your personal data. The personal data worth more than your credit card today. And basically because it will be bought by various ad agencies, insurance companies, and pharma industries in order to sell you various things through their ads. So again, if you have not kind of protecting your devices, it's pretty easy to steal information from your devices. So we can see a case study of the Equifax data breach, which has happened in 2017. So they suffered a very massive data breach in which personal data belonging to the 147 million people was compromised. So this included the credit card details, social security numbers, which are considered as the personal data. And then the way it happens is that the organization was running an vulnerable Apache Struts web application software, which was compromised, and slowly they were able to compromise the personal data. And even though the patch was available, the Equifax never applied this particular patch into their servers, which costed them the loss of 147 million people's personal data. So because of this, the consequence is that Equifax need to settle up to $700 million because of a significant loss of public data here. So this is what cybersecurity can do for organizations if the proper layer defense approach is not taken. So what is the impact of this cybercrime? Year on year, we see that there is a 70% increase in cybersecurity attacks for a given organization. And most of the time, the average breach for a given cybersecurity attack will cost around close to $5 million. And then by 2025, it is estimated that the global cost will be around $10.5 trillion because of such cybersecurity attacks. So you're talking about huge money and impact here. And hence, cybersecurity is very important for any given organization, whether it's small or big. So let us try to understand some terminologies as a beginner here, so that going further, it will be very easy for you to understand when we jump into the demo. So when we speak about a vulnerability in cybersecurity, you can imagine that a vulnerability is like a weakness or a flaw, and it can present in your system or network, which can be exploited by an attacker. So if you want to relate this to for a day-to-day example, you have given prime minister of any given country, and if there is a vulnerability within the prime minister's security, right, then it's very easy to compromise for a given terrorist. So that is what a flaw is. Threat. So threat is something which always exists, even though you don't see that. So you can say that I have a server online exposed to the public internet, and I'm not able to say, I don't see any threat for that because I have a firewall. That's not the case. Threat is something which you consider that it's always there, because this is one of the items in which it will wait for a given vulnerability, and then it's going to kind of target the given system and compromise the data over that. So the threat is something which is always there. So that's what you need to understand. And risk is always a probability. Like, what is the given risk if there is a vulnerability in my system or network? So the risk could be high, medium, and low. And most of the time, if there is a vulnerability which is kind of very critical, if it's not patched, your risk is always high. So you should see that risk as a probability. A threat may take advantage of a given vulnerability to compromise a given network. And attack. So attack, or what we call it as an act caused by an hacker or attacker, is an intentional act where the threat actor or the adversary will try to exploit the given vulnerability. There could be a non-patched server, as in the case we saw in the case of Equifax, right? So the attackers were able to compromise that. So this is what we call as cybersecurity attack. So the attack happens if there is a vulnerability in your given target. And now bring it all together. If you can, now you can see clearly that what is a threat, what is a vulnerability, risk, and attack, how they're related to each other. So a threat is something which always exists, and vulnerability, which is something which is going to be present in case if you're not patching your servers or not maintaining a layer difference approach in your organization. The risk is the probability in which an attacker can basically compromise a vulnerability and then compromise the entire organization. The attackers, say, a path a cyber criminal or an adversary could take in order to compromise your organization. So now let's talk about domains in cybersecurity and how many domains are there, which are the important ones, and how this gives you a lot of opportunities. So in cybersecurity, there are close to 8 to 10 domains, depending on how you divide them. So the most important one is the network security. This is where most of the data comes in and goes out of a given organization. So the network security is an domain in which you will try to protect the organization's network and infrastructure from unauthorized access or misuse or theft. So an example could be is that in a given organization, you may implement firewall and IDS and IPS systems so that you can detect any incoming attacks and then you can block them. The other domain is the application security. In the application security, you'll focus on securing the applications. Network security can take care of the security of infrastructure and network, but it is not able to take care of the application security. If there is a breach in your firewall, if your applications are not secure, then you will be compromised. So as a layer difference approach, you need to ensure that the application security is also taken care, where you're going to ensure that you follow a secure development lifecycle in which you're going to, say, execute a lot of, say, cybersecurity measures in order to protect your applications. And once the applications are secure, then you can say that you have kind of implemented the second layer of defense. An example is that you could have a SQL injection or a cross-site scripting vulnerability or a buffer overflow in a given application. And if you have not patched them or if you have not fixed them, it's pretty much easy to kind of compromise the same. Then you have the cloud security. So here the cloud security is all about securing your cloud assets, like your data on cloud, your infrastructure on the cloud, and the applications running on the cloud. So in cases where, say, in AWS or Azure, who are our cloud security providers, if you have hosted an application and think that you're secure by default, it's not the case. Cloud is always a shared responsibility model where you have to do something and the vendor on which you have hosted your application has to do something to take care of the cloud security itself. So if you have not turned on the firewall on AWS, or if you have not implemented application security into your applications, then again, the cloud will not protect you. It is you who has to ensure that these aspects are taken care. Then you have the IAM, which ensures that it will take care of the identity and access management of a given resource in a given organization. The identity and access management is very critical, without which you cannot access any given applications in any given organization. It ensures that it will identify who are you and what kind of access do you have in a given organization. For example, if you are working in a HR department, obviously you should not have access to an IT department. So there should be segregation of duties and responsibilities. That is what identity and access management can do it for you. It will ensure that it will implement various, say, cybersecurity measures such as the single sign-on, multi-factor authentication to prevent, say, a brute force attack on a given organization. Without, say, multi-factor authentication, you can't even sign into an organization today. So this is what identity and access management can take care of. Incident response is all about monitoring for a given incident in a network or a given infrastructure of an organization. So when we say incident, we talk about probability or an attack which is currently happening, and or an attack which is building up on a given organization. So adversaries or the attackers sometimes try to scan your network, sometimes try to look for various vulnerabilities in your network. In such scenarios, the incident response team can look into the logs from the infrastructure and from the various firewall and endpoint devices and see the upcoming attack and they can try to blacklist the adversary IP address and thus preventing that attack. So incident response is very important for every organization, without which you cannot have visibility into what's happening in your organization in terms of how an adversary is trying to compromise your organization. Security Operations Center is where most of the time this such monitoring will take care. The Security Operations Center will get all sort of information about the real-time logs from various endpoint devices, perimeter devices, firewalls, routers, switches, so that they can see what kind of network is coming in or going out of your organization. In such scenario, they will try to use various tools such as the SIEM, EDR, or XDR solutions in order to identify and analyze suspicious activities in a real time. So this gives an organization a huge advantage to ensure that they can monitor both the internal and external threats for a given organization. For example, an employee may try to steal some data within an organization. The Security Operations Center, using tools such as the DLP or the data layer protection application, can see such traffic, and then they can block those exfiltration of such sensitive data from a given organization. Penetration testing is again another domain, or what we call it as ethical hacking. So here the intent is you as a security engineer or a penetration tester will try to do an authenticated or approved penetration testing on a given infrastructure or application to find vulnerabilities before the hackers will do that. So the goal is to ensure that you go through the entire network applications infrastructure from the hacker's mindset and find issues in them and then patch them before it can be compromised by a given adversary. So the opportunities are immense in penetration testing field. So I will talk more about that later. Digital forensic is again another very important domain where you will be able to perform forensics on the assets of your organization. Say, for example, if there is an hard disk which containing secrets, which could be, say, taken out by an employee, or maybe a cyber criminal is trying to bring some, say, sensitive data into the country. And as a digital forensics engineer, you can basically look into that particular device and see what is there inside that which could threaten a given organization or a country. So such information can, to dig out such information, you need digital forensics tools. And using that, you'll be able to do the forensic analysis on the digital devices so that you can try to trace such data leaks. GRC, or what we call it as governance, risk, and compliance, is all about governance of cybersecurity and privacy of a given organization. So here you will check whether an organization has implemented proper policies, procedures, and compliances in order to ensure the security of an organization. So here you will check various compliances such as your GDPR, HIPAA, and also you're going to look into the other compliances depending on the nature of organization. Say, for example, if your organization is mainly working in the healthcare department, you will focus more on HIPAA, because HIPAA is all about taking care of the healthcare information of a given user to ensure the privacy and security of the healthcare data is maintained. So similarly, if your organization is in Europe, you'll focus on GDPR. So GDPR is all about taking care of the privacy of a given individual, and GDPR will ensure that a given organization will implement the policies as defined by the GDPR. So now, how do I get started and focus on one of these domains as a fresher or a junior engineer? What are my chances? Where should I focus? That is what I'm going to cover now. So to get started in cybersecurity, the fundamentals are very important. So I don't recommend that you directly try to jump into the specialization fields such as the penetration testing, forensics, GRC, because it's impossible. You have to build the basic skills in order to even choose a particular specialization or path. Say, for example, the foundations in IT and networking is very important. If I talk about a port or a protocol, or I talk about firewalls, switches, routers, devices, you need to be able to identify that, and you need to be able to understand that. Or if I want to talk about, say, Linux commands or a Linux operating system or a Windows operating system, you need to be able to use the Linux and Windows operating system comfortably. Without that, you can't even, say, jump into the specialization. So this is where you have to begin with. So one such basic certification you can start with is the Network Plus, and which is going to teach you the network fundamentals. And then you have the basic cybersecurity skills you need to develop. This is another skill which is required. Say, I spoke about various terminologies and definitions, right? And there are many such definitions in cybersecurity. For example, when I talk about cybersecurity severity, such as critical, high, medium, and low, how do you define that? If I talk about various, say, cybersecurity standards, such as OWASP, what is that? So all of this can be learned from Security Plus, which will going to teach you most of the cybersecurity fundamentals required for you to go to the next step. Or you can also look around the internet. There are tons of videos on YouTube and free courses which are going to teach you the basic fundamentals on Windows, Linux, Security Plus, Network Plus, and so on. So these are the fundamentals you need to get started with. And then it's time to choose a specialization. So here options are many. So you should choose based on your interest and what skill level are you. Are you good in, say, Linux, network, and basics of cybersecurity? Are you able to use Windows comfortably? Do you understand the meaning of, say, IP address, subnets, domains, subdomains, and all of that already? Then you can start into penetration testing. And also here, if you want to become an ethical hacker for a given organization, this is where you need to start. You can start with a very simple penetration testing course, and then you can start to focus on more advanced course in the field of penetration testing. And then if your interest is into digital forensics, if you are a guy who's interested into looking deep inside the digital data, then you should jump into forensics. Or you want to, say, get into management and manage the cybersecurity across the organization wide through use of various checklists or compliances, right? So this is where you have to jump into GRC. So GRC will ensure that, okay, is there penetration testing done for this particular application before the release? Have we implemented all necessary, say, compliances before we go for any release? All of those checks can be manually assessed in the GRC, and it's one of the, say, easiest domain to get into. And then you have the SOC. So SOC is all about Security Operations Center. Here, it's all about monitoring your endpoints in an organization and employee devices, mobile devices, so that you can prevent an upcoming cybersecurity attack. So this is again one of the cool fields to get into as a junior SOC engineer. So again, the skills required here are huge. So for example, you need to at least have a basic understanding in penetration testing to get into the SOC, even though it's not it's not mandatory, but it is recommended. Then you have the security engineering. So it's all about a dual role. You like to develop applications, you like to secure them. So this is the field for you. So security engineering is all about, say, you are working in a software development lifecycle where the responsibility is, as a junior security engineer, you can, just a minute. I think I lost a screen share.
Yeah, Sagar, I think your video has gone off. Somebody put the whiteboard.
Yeah, coming back. Hopefully you can see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So security engineering is all about you implementing security strategies into the software development lifecycle. So as a security engineer, you will play the dual role of a developer and a cybersecurity engineer. So this is something is another, say, highly paid specialization, because you are doing a dual role here. And for this, you need to have a very good understanding in one of the programming languages. Choose any one programming language, master that, and ensure that you are aware of various domains such as penetration testing, vulnerability assessments, and all of that. And then that should be able to take care. Just a minute. Okay. Now, what are the relevant certifications? So you can start with Security Plus and Network Plus if you want to get started in the foundational knowledge. Then you have the 𝐸Learn Security Junior Penetration Tester if you want to start with penetration testing as a junior pen tester. Then you have the Threat Detection and Response certification from 𝐾OMSIA. You can start from there. Then you have the CH, Certified Ethical Hacker, is another good certification to get started with. And finally, you can also look for the GIAC, which is going to be the Incident Handler certification from SANS. This is on one of the other certification. You can get started early in your career. If you're already kind of experienced, then let's say, for example, you have spent across 2 to 3 years in the cybersecurity industry. Now, this is where you can start to focus on more advanced certifications, such as the CISSP, OSCP, CISM, where depending on the choice of your path or specialization, you can get OSCP. If you are a pen tester, you can get into, say, CISSP or CISM if you're into GRC. These are some of the certifications you can get started with. And finally, the other skills required apart from the special skills which I mentioned is all about like soft skills and some regulatory knowledge. Say, for example, you need to understand what is the various rules put forth by various governments across the globe in terms of cybersecurity. You need to understand what is the law and the cybersecurity compliances standards in USA, that is North America, or Europe, or India, and how you can implement that for your organization. You need to understand various, say, policies which are already present in your organization. Every organization will have a cybersecurity policy, and you need to understand what is there in that policy and how you can implement that for a given application or a system or infrastructure in your organization. And soft skills, again, you should be able to communicate properly. You should be able to, say, do the report writing properly. So all of the soft skills, again, matter, and you should be able to communicate with the teams, cross team work, and you should be a team player. So all of this, again, is pretty much important. And we talk about the technical skills. So technical skills, this is something which is never going to stop in cybersecurity, even though you have become, say, 15 to 20 years experience in cybersecurity. This is always going to be such a domain where you need to consistently upgrade yourself. Say, for example, if you think that you have done enough network security, you may not have knowledge in application security, which is again very important. And just a decade ago, not many people were into cloud security, but now there are many people in cloud security. So in future, people may talk about AI security, right? So these are some of the domains where you can focus in depth, but still, as you grow in cybersecurity, it is very important that you learn more about multi-domain. Say, for example, today I work across all of these domains, not only say cloud security or application security, because that is what is required as you grow, say, into senior positions in a given company. And finally, your analytical skills, say, for example, you should be able to perform analysis. If you're given a SOC, if you're given a chance to do any digital assets, you should be able to perform digital forensics. So these are some of the things you should develop over a period of time. So the career paths. So what is the option? So I think we saw already some of the career paths you can choose if you are into, say, if you're interested in cybersecurity. We'll talk more about that. So as of 2024, we have a huge gap in cybersecurity professionals. So most of the professionals, what we get in cybersecurity, they don't have proper skills. They have not taken the path which I've given today. They have just directly jumped into the field of cybersecurity because the lack of training or because of lack of chances. There could be many reasons. And we cannot basically use them directly into any given project. We have to train them. So it matters that you train yourself before coming into the cybersecurity domain so that you can fill in these gaps. Even in India, we have a huge surge of cybersecurity professionals. You can simply go into LinkedIn and have a look into that. There are so many number of jobs for a given cybersecurity position, starting from say junior pen tester to an advanced pen tester. For example, you can see there are many jobs. So what are the entry level roles? So you can start with say SOC analyst or a junior pen tester, incident response analyst, compliance analyst, risk analyst, or a security engineer. So these are some of the entry level roles. As I defined earlier, you know what you need to say study or master before you apply for each of these positions. And these are the mid-level and senior roles, say threat hunting, red teaming, incident response manager, senior security engineer. So for example, if you are already a penetration tester, now you want to change your path and you want to get into threat hunting. So then you have to start learning again on different tools and technologies. Say for example, you need to learn on endpoint detection response. You need to learn about how an antivirus works. You need to understand in depth on OS internals. So that's how you keep learning, and you can change domains in cybersecurity once you gain entry into cybersecurity. Getting an entry into cybersecurity is hard, but once you are inside, changing paths is much more easy because there is a lot of opportunity in any given organization, and you can immediately take that by doing a training and mastering a particular topic. Then you can also say become a GRC expert or a senior security analyst, penetration tester, depending on the specialization you choose. So finally, we see that this is a very large landscape. There is a lot of opportunity. What you need to do is get started with immediately. And most of the people have a problem in getting started. Once you get started, right, then it becomes more easier for you. If you say that I can't get started because I can't do programming, or I can't do, say, run Linux commands, and whatever the reasons it could be. But once you get started, right, it becomes more easier for you. You can just spend around 2 hours per day on any given topic. And once you are done with it, you will realize how much you have learned. So learn through practical scenarios. Don't try to see videos on YouTube or Udemy and or take some trainings and forget about them. You should always do hands-on training. That is what is going to help you. So now we all talk about AI and how AI is impacting cybersecurity. This is what we're going to see in the upcoming slides. The question is how secure your job will be in cybersecurity because of the AI revolution. What are the various changes AI going to bring? In fact, AI going to help us in getting more jobs in cybersecurity. I'll tell you why. So in AI, you can define the cybersecurity into two broad categories: the adversaries or the attackers or hackers, nation sponsored as a group of hackers. They all use AI in order to, say, write malwares, write various programs to target an organization. Say, for example, you have seen scenarios where in the newspaper where Russia was trying to sabotage the US election. We saw the news, right? So how exactly this is done? So in these scenarios, say any given organization, any given country can try to attack another country through cyber warfare. So this is where AI will be used by these state-sponsored adversaries to create more malwares. The more malwares means the more opportunities in the cybersecurity market for you guys. Means that organization needs to hire more people in order to prevent them. But on the other side, in the cyber defense field, again, organization can leverage AI for securing themselves. But even though there is a possibility that you can automate that, but we are very far from this particular scenario here. Say, for example, adversary could be using more advanced version of AI in order to target an organization. And this organization may not have that particular advanced AI. So they still depend on human element to, say, use whatever the AI they have, and then put a human element into it and try to secure an organization. So there are multiple opportunities like this. So impact is this. So both on the attack side and the defense side, AI is playing major role in how your various, say, malwares are developed and how antivirus softwares are developed in order to block or prevent such malware attacks. And adversaries are, say, using AI for various things. Say, for example, they are writing AI-generated phishing. You might have seen the increase in phishing attacks today. So you will get various sort of SMS, WhatsApp messages, which could be AI generated, because it's pretty easy to generate such messages and send immediately, adding a link which can download a malware and install on your device. They can develop a smart malware which will look, okay, am I on Android device? Am I on iOS device? Am I on Mac OS? Am I on Windows? Depending on that particular check, it can download and install and say secondary payloads or other malwares to compromise the end devices. And adversaries can automate the attack. They don't need to sit and manually run commands. They can ask AI to basically automate depending on the response they received from the target. Based on that, they can send various secondary payloads to compromise the end devices. You might also have seen the deep fake exploits. Say, for example, it's pretty easy to generate an deep fake video and try to send it to the target organization saying that, hey, I'm your CISO. I have locked myself out of my, say, Outlook. Would you please share the username and password for me? Or you can just create deep fake voice messages and try to trick the IT department in gaining the OTP or username and password for a given organization account. AI is also very useful in reconnaissance, or what we call it as information gathering. You can run the AI on the target organization or the target country to sit and analyze the various, say, information an organization that process or various, say, applications, infrastructure they are hosting, and how you can find vulnerabilities in them. So these are some of the adversaries methodologies in weaponizing AI. Then finally, the cyber defense, what companies like, say, for example, McAfee, Symantec, how they are doing this. So what they do is they also use AI in order to predict the type of threats which the AI could generate. So they would keep an eye on the public domain. They can gather a lot of data over a period of time, and they analyze that particular data using AI to see how the threat pattern is growing and how an adversary is using various tools in order to attack a given organization. So basically they perform threat intelligence. And the secondary thing what these companies can do is automated incident response. An attack happened and human may not be present there. The AI can take care of that. It can simply go and block that particular IP address. You can write an automation script. Or even though there is no AI system, if there is a 1 or 2 SOC analyst, you can still use the AI and generate this particular, say, automated incident response script and implement that to block the given IP address. And other tools such as the endpoint protection can be improvised in order to prevent, say, zero-day attacks. That is, new attacks which can happen on the organization for which there is no defense at all. Such kind of attacks can be prevented by analyzing the behavior. For example, if the malware is kind of new and antivirus signatures are not there to block it, how do you protect it? So you have to identify the behavior of that particular malware, see to which, say, IP address or domain it's trying to connect, what it's trying to do on your device. Is it trying to delete something? Is it trying to encrypt something? Or is trying to download further malwares into the device? Or it's trying to guess various username and passwords in your device. If these are the behavior analysis, your AI can basically analyze this behavior and then finally kill that particular process, because the behavior is not at all good, even though your antivirus never knew anything about that earlier. So finally, the threat intelligence is another field which is going to be huge in the AI market, where as a threat a hunter or a threat expert, you can try to implement various threat intelligence methodologies in order to identify the global threat, say, numbers, and then you can try to implement various solutions into the your endpoint protection, or what we call it as, say, EDR or XDR solutions. So now let's look into a demo to understand the impact of an attack and how easy for a given adversary to compromise an organization device if there is a vulnerability. So here, the attack I'm going to perform is called as the Eternal Blue exploit. So the eternal blue exploit is going to compromise the CVE 2017-0144, which is also known as the SMB version 1 protocol vulnerability. So here the vulnerability exists in SMB version 1 of Microsoft operating systems. And wherever this SMB version 1 was implemented, it may be non-Windows device as well, but if they are using SMB version 1, then they're also vulnerable. So in this case, the exploit which was used was named as Eternal Blue. So here the Eternal Blue will focus on a vulnerability in Microsoft SMB version 1, which is a buffer overflow vulnerability. And this was present in Windows 7, Windows Server 2008, Windows XP, Windows 10, and the target port was 445. This is the port on which the SMB protocol runs. SMB is used in organizations or in your personal devices as well for sharing the various folders or for issuing print communications with your printer. So most of the organizations have this port enabled because the employees need to share cross data with each other by sharing the folder access. So this gave the attackers an opportunity to compromise many machines. This happened in 2017, but the vulnerability existed for a long time. Nobody knew that there was a vulnerability as such in SMB version 1. It was only detected in 2017. Before that, it is assumed that the attackers were using this particular vulnerability to take control of thousands or millions of devices across the globe. Even in 2024, it's still a threat. The reason is there are many devices across the globe who still runs vulnerable versions of Windows 7, Windows XP 2008, and Windows 10 because they have not patched them. There are a number of medical devices running across the globe which cannot be updated because they are simply sitting in an isolated environment, or there could be air gap networks which are also never patched. Similarly, there are various machines which are still connected to the internet, still not patched. So this gives an opportunity for the attackers to compromise this vulnerability even in 2024. The vulnerable function in the Windows version of SMB 1 is this particular function which I have mentioned here. This particular function is vulnerable to buffer overflow, which means if you send more than say some n number of data to this particular function, it will crash. So the attacker, what they did is they controlled the crash and then they took control of the target machine. So when the application crashes, here in this case, the entire operating system can crash because this particular crash affects the kernel. So when there is a kernel crash, obviously the operating system will crash. So they have to ensure that they avoid that particular application crash and redirect that particular execution into attacker injected code and take control of this particular application through buffer overflow. So in layman terms, you can simply imagine like that you have a glass of water and it's already it's full, and then you're going to put more water into that particular glass. Obviously there is an overflow. This something happens inside the computer memory as well. If the application has allotted itself say some 10 bytes of memory and you're going to send around say 20 bytes of data into the application, if there is no check performed to prevent that, or there is no function implemented to handle that, the application will crash. So this is what happens in buffer overflow. Buffer overflow can happen on say application or in the kernel, but in this case it happened in the kernel and hence the operating system will crash. But the attackers will successfully avoid that by redirecting the control into their crafted payload and executing the buffer overflow. So let us see the demo here. So let me share my lab here to show this particular demo. Okay, let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see this scenario here. I'm on a Linux machine, which is Kali Linux. This is one of the penetration testing toolkits. Most of the pen testers use this operating system. On the right-hand side here, you have the victim or the target, which is Windows 7. You can see that. As explained in the previous slide, I talked about how Windows 7 is vulnerable to buffer overflow. Now assume that the adversary, the attacker, has found this on the internet. How exactly he can find such targets? Because there could be thousands or millions of IP addresses out there. Is there an easy way to target and identify such vulnerable targets and try buffer overflow attack on them? So yes, it's possible. Say for example, when you perform scanning for a given, say, target, the idea of scanning such targets is to find open ports. Through open ports, you will see if there are any open applications running on them and what kind of operating system it is running behind that and what application version is that. Is it vulnerable? So these are some of the paths the attacker will take. So in this case, since we are trying to, say, target the application buffer overflow attack, we will try with Nmap's script scanning. So the Nmap script scanning here will ensure that it will scan for port number 445 on the target victim IP address. And you have this buffer overflow script check, which will check whether the target machine is vulnerable to buffer overflow or not. So let's try to connect to it. So now we have started the scanning. So the scan output will give us the results defining what is our chances of finding a buffer overflow vulnerability on this, which is eternal blue. MS17010 is the patch released by Microsoft to address this buffer overflow on the SMB version 1. If the patch is missing, the Nmap will be able to identify that and will be able to provide us information related to this particular vulnerability. So here we can clearly see that it is saying that it is vulnerable. So this particular target, you can see that port is open here and the vulnerability exists and the chances of compromising this particular vulnerability is high now. So I will connect to that particular machine again just to show how the user on that machine will never be able to visualize or see an attack happening on this particular target machine. So to perform the attack, we will use a tool called MSF console, which is a command and control tool. Command and control tools are the tools used by the attackers in order to attack and take control of the victim devices. So in this case, I'm using MSF console as my command and control as an attacker. My target is the machine on the right hand side. So first thing I'll do is I will start to use the exploit. For example, notice that here I'm trying to search for if there is any vulnerability related to this particular version. So notice that here we have various Windows platforms here, and when you search for such particular attack, you can clearly see that in this there is a chance that an exploit might already exist for this particular target in the name of eternal blue. So this is what I'm trying to search here. So let me try to search for that, and notice that when you start searching here, you can see that all the MS vulnerabilities, notice that Microsoft related vulnerabilities which is already listed here. So in this, we simply try to search for given vulnerability, which is eternal blue here. So now I will try to use this particular vulnerability here. Notice that we have loaded this particular vulnerability. So here the exploit Windows SMB protocol MS17010 eternal blue. We can see that we have successfully loaded this particular exploit. Now I have to run this exploit against the target. For that, I need to add some parameters before running this. So in this case, I need to set the target of the victim machine. In this case, this the victim machine. What we have is this particular Windows machine on the right hand side. So, and the target port is 445. Okay, so let's try to configure that. So I will say set our host. Don't worry about all of these commands. When you become a pen tester, definitely you'll be able to understand, learn all of this. For this particular demo, just need to understand that I'm using MSF console to compromise the victim machine on the right hand side. So now I have set the target, and then I can basically set further options. Say, for example, I need to set the listening port. This port will open on the attacker machine. When this machine comes back and try to connect back to the attacker, it will try to connect back on the port 4444. And then once you have set these options, you need to also set the host name here, or the local host. This is the attacker IP address I'm setting here, because this machine needs to understand where exactly it should connect back. So now we have set all the options required for this attack. So let's try to run this. So to run this exploit, you can simply say exploit, and notice that the exploit will start with scanning the target and try to see if it's vulnerable. And notice that it found that the target is vulnerable. And after it finds that target is vulnerable, then it will start to try to exploit this particular machine. Notice that as we exploit here, we don't see any activity on the target victim. It means that the victim is not at all aware that an attack is happening on his computer, and the attack is successful. Notice that we'll get a successful shell here, what we call it as a meter-preter shell. So see that we got the successful meter-preter session open, indicating that now we are taking control of this machine. So here you can start with say sysinfo command to check where you are exactly, and notice that I'm on the test PC, which is Windows 7. So this is what the machine is all about. So from here onwards, you are going to execute all the commands as if you are present on the victim target machine. And the victim target machine, see that here, you can simply continue using this machine. He won't even understand that he is compromised, as you can clearly see that. See that this is the machine which we have compromised, and the user will never know that there is already an established connection and he is being watched. So from here onwards, I can get all the data on this machine, and then I can basically jump into the Windows shell directly. Notice that I'm in the Windows shell now. So here you can start to run various commands and take control of the target victim. Okay, so this is a demo I wanted to show. Now, I think the demo is done. So next step is I'll go back to the presentation. Just give me a minute. Okay. Hope you can still see my screen. So now we have done with the 𝗖𝗏𝗏 demo. Let's go to the last few slides. So thank you so much. That's all for today. And this is where you can reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn, so you can scan this particular QR code and add me to your contacts so that we can communicate. I can provide you the information on say guidance on your career path, and try to maybe set your path right and give you a vision how you can get started in cybersecurity. What are the various job options you can take depending on your experience. So that's all for today. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you, Saga. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. If any of you have any questions for Saga, please put it in the chat and we will take it up. Saga, there's one question out here from Akil Thomas.
That. Okay, so as you're already into the IT service company where you are responsible for password reset, SSO setup, right? The best option is that IAM for you. You can get into the identity and access management. The way you can learn that is get an IAM solution training. Say, for example, you can learn about various, say, IAM tools which are out there, starting with maybe Okta, which is very hot now. So once you learn that, then you can start applying for the IAM roles. The other solution is that you can also try the SOC after learning any sort of SOC certification. So these are the two paths you can take.
Those people who are asking for the feedback link, I've already posted the feedback link for LinkedIn and Instagram. Please post your feedbacks on LinkedIn and Instagram.
Okay, so Muskan has a question here. So where to start from? And so as I explained, right, certifications are not something mandatory. For me, I don't recommend certifications, which is as mandatory, but I would also recommend that you start following the cybersecurity skills which is required to begin with. Say you need to understand about Linux, Windows, network, and one programming language. These are the 4 things you should get started with. Once you're comfortable with this, a job requirement or a resume requirement is that you need to have a certificate. This is for HR system to basically, let's say, filter you out from a tons of resumes they get so that you can get an opportunity for the interview. So for that, get one recognized cybersecurity certification, beginner certification to begin with. Then you can go into the more advanced certification. So another question I have that. So if you're already doing your BTech, that's a good place to be in because you are already probably have learned a good amount of programming. Now to get started, work on your basics, especially on the networking side, operating system side. Learn in depth on Windows internals and Linux internals, and then you can identify one specialization path. Say penetration testing or security engineering is what I suggest for you, and you can get started from there. Yeah, for IIMs, right, it is good for entry level. There is a good opportunity for IIM as well. You can get started with it, but ensure that you have good understanding of at least one of the IIM tools, because IIM is all about utilizing tools such as Okta. So ensure that you have good experience on that before you apply for such roles. Okay, so for networking and system admin, right, again, that's another good place to be in to get an entry into the cybersecurity, because you're already doing most of the Windows and Linux system admin works. So this is where your opportunity to understand in-depth Windows and Linux will come into picture, and then immediately you can look into the SOC roles. So this is where you can start your focus on learning Security Operations Center, learn one of the tools such as the Splunk or Microsoft Sentinel, and how to, say, secure or protect or monitor your endpoints such as Windows and Linux, which are connected to the Microsoft Sentinel while somebody attacks them. So these are some of the paths you can start with if you're already into networking and system admin roles. Okay, so the full stack developer and cybersecurity are again a good combination for a cybersecurity engineer. So as a security engineer, your job will be to develop secure full stack applications. So your job in any given organization is that you will act like a one point of reference for, say, to follow the secure SDLC process and implement the security across the applications. And this is something very rare to find in security industry, the combination of full stack knowledge as well as cybersecurity. You will have a lot of opportunity over there. Okay, so how can we identify the scripts in the Nmap port scanning tool? In the Nmap, the scripts are stored typically in the Nmap folder. You can pretty much, say, navigate to that particular folder and you can find, or you can use the script tag, and then you can try to, say, map it to a wildcard if you want to use all the scripts from the nmap. So blue teaming in cybersecurity is another, say, opportunity. This is where, as a blue teamer, you can work in the SOC environment. So the blue teamer is going to be very vital in performing the threat hunting when the red teaming will start to attack a given organization, which is of course authorized and approved. And your responsibility is to help the organization in identifying those particular attacks. And if the organization EDR tools or XDR tools have failed to identify such attacks, you as a blue teamer will make a note of that, and you'll help the content team in writing content so that those attacks can be prevented. So that's another wonderful opportunity as a blue teamer. You can basically get started with that. See, as I said, without any experience, it's impossible to, say, get into any field. You need to have some experience. The way you can get experience is to follow the basic training, as I explained, on Windows, Linux, networking, then focus on one entry-level certification, and then focus on hands-on training. Don't try to sit and watch countless number of videos. Start with, say, basic nmap scan. See how nmap scan would work, how it's able to ping an IP address and do see a port is open or closed. If you start practicals right, that is a wonderful place to begin with. Nowadays, you will have tons of cybersecurity blogs out there. Pick your favorite blogs. Say you can look into the hacking articles, you can look into the various other portal in which you can take a blog, try to implement that, try to follow that. In that blog, they might have try to teach you various other tools. Try to master the particular concept there. So slowly over a period of time, say in 3 to 6 months, you will realize that you know many things in cybersecurity just because you are reading the blog, you are trying to execute the content provided in the blog. That is going to be a good start. This is applicable for everyone who is asking so many questions here. Try to read a blog, try to kind of implement that manually, and have a home lab. You can use a very basic machine. It can be a mini PC or it can be a desktop. Have one Kali machine installed, and then you can basically start to work on your lab, starting with Kali. Then have another Windows and Linux target installed on top of your VirtualBox hypervisor. That is what you need. A machine with 8 to 16 GB of RAM to begin with is a simple home lab. Is going to help a lot. So internship opportunities, again, nobody will give you an internship if you don't have the basic skills. If you have basic skill, there are a huge number of companies trying to teach you more. It's all about the basic knowledge, your attitude to learn more. You will get a tons of internship opportunity. When I go for hiring any interns, I'm not going to see how in-depth they know. I'm just going to check what is the skills or the basic skills they have. And they explain the networking protocols? Can they explain how the things work on the internet? So these are some of the things what I look when I'm hiring the interns for the cybersecurity opportunities at my company. Okay, pursue. Okay, so if you're already doing MCA and if you're trying to apply for cybersecurity analyst role, it's good. And CCST career path, again, it's good. And cybersecurity analyst role will follow two paths. Either you are focusing on the vulnerability management or you're focusing on the SOC. So depending on what you focus, as I explained, have a home lab and get started to practice using various, say, tools, and look into your security analyst blogs related to the SOC or vulnerability scanning or vulnerability management. Then that will help you a lot. Okay, I'm just reading questions one by one. I'll start answering based on the questions here. Okay, is Metasploit open source? Yes, the both versions of Metasploit is available. The one which I've showed you today is open source. You can free to use it, but ensure that you use within the lab environment. As you can see that I was using in my own home lab. So have a home lab. You can buy old desktop servers today for mere 10,000, 8,000 rupees on internet. Just use them. Those are very good because they come with, say, around 32 to 64 GB of RAM. Say, for example, you can search for Dell 3610 tower server. which is cheap, around 17,000 with 16 GB of RAM, around 512 GB of hard disk, and with good 12-core processor, that is enough. You can get started with that. So you don't need heavy investment in building your labs. Okay, you're doing PG diploma and cybersecurity forensics, and what do you think about it? Yeah, see, any learning, right? Whether you take a diploma, whether you do a certification, whether you're doing self-learning, what matters is how disciplined you are. Are you learning 2 hours per day? What I recommend is that if you are kind of serious and disciplined, if you're focusing like every day 2 hours per day on your cybersecurity skills, that's going to make a huge change. So keep doing that. Don't try to just say learn for the sake of marks or the exam or the certificate. Try to take the path. The journey is what matters rather than say doing some certification. So please do follow that. Okay, so you have done already the Google Cybersecurity Professional Certificate, Networking Fundamentals, OS Fundamentals. Definitely, if you have done already these many basic certificate and fundamentals, you should definitely try for an internship with a given organization. But ensure that whatever is covered in these 3 aspects, because you will mention these things in your resume, right? Looking at that, the interviewer might ask you questions related to that and OS fundamentals, right? So then you should be able to answer that. Say, for example, you are mentioning about the networking fundamentals. The basic question is how HTTPS works. Then you're able to understand and dissect how the entire HTTPS would work, and you should be able to explain that. Then another fundamental question is like how ping works. Can you explain that? So once you start asking questions to yourself, you'll get the answer whether you're prepared or not. Then you should be able to easily answer that. Just go to ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT to give you, say, 10 fundamental networking questions, 10 fundamental OS internal questions. Can you answer those? If not, then you're not prepared. So try to prepare yourself with the help of AI today. It's pretty easy. Okay, so you're currently working as vulnerability analyst. How can I extend my career from this stage? Okay, see, vulnerability analyst, you're using probably the vulnerability scanners to scan the target. The first thing you have to do is, are you using the tools well to its full advantage? I do see that many engineers just point and scan. They don't even understand the tools. So if you have already done that, the next step is to start doing the manual penetration testing without using such tools. Say, for example, don't use Bob Scan, use Bob plugins in order to do the manual testing. Try to find XSS, SQL engine, SQL injection, right, on the target web application using only manual methodologies. For example, you can start with Bob Suite Academy. They have 200 challenges, free course. You just need a community edition of Bob Suite. This way you can start with if you want to extend your career after vulnerability analyst. So any cybersecurity related certificate website recommendation. So there are various websites which can give you good certifications. What you need to focus is out of those, which is cost effective. There are some cybersecurity certifications which cost you about $1,500, which I don't recommend. You should always start with minimal, maybe around $50, $100, $200. That is where you have to start with. Or if you're going for instructor-led training, that's much more better. In instructor-led training, you will have an instructor to whom you can ask all sort of questions, basics to advanced, and they will teach you each and every command. Because, for example, if I talk about nmap and -p, what exactly the -p does, you may not be able to understand yourself. You can ask it to the tutor. So you can start with such websites where they can give you tutor-led trainings. And then once you are well-versed in basics, then you can go to the advanced training. And these advanced trainings are typically should be obtained either from help of your organization or from the help of your own money, because putting your own money right into certifications such as OSCP is very huge. So you should take care of that. How you started your career from graduation? Okay, so my story is a bit different. I was always fond of cybersecurity before graduation. So I started out in 2001 while building my own home labs. That is where I started to learn cybersecurity. So before even completing my say course or my engineering in computer science, I already have 2 to 3 jobs in cybersecurity. So I was the few cybersecurity engineers who joined in 2004 and 5. At that time, nobody knew what is cybersecurity is all about. So my journey is a bit different. If you are passionate about, you can do the same. Like have a home lab, start learning at home, start utilizing the ChatGPT, and learn a particular programming language. That should get you started. So yeah, if you want to become a cybercrime officer, so the digital forensics is a good field to get started with, and also a bit of GRC knowledge. So this is where you can start to work on, say, various organizations. There are a number of organizations, cyber cells available in India. You can contact them. You can try to see if there are any internship opportunities with them. Try to say that I will work for free. I don't need any internship stipends. So that is where you can get started with. Okay, what does an entry-level cybersecurity guy would earn? So that depends on the company. So if the company is small scale, for a pen tester, you might get around 3 to 5 lakhs. If they're a big organization, good organization, it can go up to 30, 35 lakhs as well. So there is a good opportunity. Say, for example, it all depends on how you have done your interview and what kind of skills you have and how much money you can make for them. Say, for example, one pen testing for a given organization would cost anywhere between $1,500 to $5,000 per day, depending on how good you are. So the client, you can charge that amount of money to the client. So when a company hires you, if the entire group is very well skilled, they're charging very high for the client. So your salary will be high. So it depends on that. So yeah, so the internships, I think IPSR will basically send you all the internship data. So they do have cybersecurity internships. You can reach out to them. So they will share more information on that, whom you can reach out and all of that. So yeah, if you're learning Golang, it's definitely good for cybersecurity because automation is key. So Golang is something which is good for cybersecurity automation. Especially you can also use it for performing bug bounty, and you can create your own bug bounty tools. I would recommend that you have your own GitHub account in which you create your own Golang tools to perform cybersecurity. It can be very simple as say reaching out to an web application and try to see whether the particular application has implemented HTTP or HTTPS. So some of these things you can get started with, and then from there on you can start to build more complex tools. If you are into first year of your engineering, definitely this is the best place to get started. As I said, work on fundamentals, network, Windows, and Linux, then learn one solid programming language properly, then focus on cybersecurity fundamental courses where they will teach you various cybersecurity terminologies. So from then onwards, starts a specialization. Either you can start pen testing or you can start the SOC analyst learning and all of that. Okay, so I think I've answered most of the questions. If you have more questions, feel free to post. Thank you, Akhil.
Yes, thank you for answering all that questions. Yeah, the rest of the questions are regarding certificates and courses.
Yeah, there's one final question from Raja about cybersecurity in abroad. So would you recommend? I wouldn't recommend if you're spending too much of money to go to, say, abroad to learn about cybersecurity when you have so much of data already available on the internet. You can do an online distant learning, but I wouldn't recommend just to learn cybersecurity in any given university. That's not at all required. Yes, if you're a commerce background, definitely you can get started. You should basically get started from zero. As I said, whether you're into engineering or any other, domains or whatever the courses, you have to start from the basics. So try to understand how computer works. Then you can jump into how operating system and networks works, and then you can build from there. And one thing I would suggest every one of you here as a student is that please join in the bug bounty programs. It's no harm at all. Try to find vulnerabilities in them, right? That's a good start for everyone. You don't need to invest into that. All you need is a small laptop with 8 GB or 16 GB of RAM with 𝐲𝐶𝐶 Community Edition. This is where you can begin with. Start finding vulnerabilities in the given targets, and from there onwards you can start to build more skills. Okay, I would recommend primary thing is bug bounty. Have your own GitHub account, write your own tools. This way you can make a huge difference in your resumes. For SOC analyst, again, there are a number of certificates out there. Even EC Council have their own SOC analyst certificates, and also there are good red teaming certificates such as the CRTO and CRTP, which is around $300 to $350. TSM Security have one of their certifications at $350. You can get started with that. Okay, so any more questions? Okay, so where we can find bug bounty post. So bug bounty, if you just say Google search for bug bounty programs, you will be listed with various bug bounty programs, starting with HackerOne. Then you have the SV Hack. Then there is Microsoft's bug bounty program, BugCrowd. I would suggest start with HackerOne. Then in the HackerOne, you have various free programs. Free programs in the sense you can select a particular web application target and you can start pen testing them. And then you can try to learn how to perform web application pen testing. If you're completely new into that particular, say, web application pen testing, take a step back, go to the 𝐲𝐶𝐶 Web Academy, learn pen testing from there on web application, then you can jump into bug bounties. Okay. So I think now most of the questions are answered. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask. Okay, so I think thank you so much, everyone. That's all for today from my side. I will give it back to IPSR, the organizer. Thank you so much again. Thanks for participating. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Sagar. Thank you for that wonderful session. Thank you for that very informative session as well. We will be having another webinar in the coming month, which will be on data visualization or cloud, the date of which will be announced later. Please check the WhatsApp group which you have joined in for this webinar, and the dates will be announced there. And we also have an offline workshop on OBE on 6th December 2024 in the RVS College, Coimbatore. If any of your faculties are interested to join in, you can join it there. It's an offline workshop on OBE. Now, I've also put in the details of the contact us details for those who wish to do courses and internship. You can contact us for the details of the courses. And those who have not gotten the LMS access details, please check your mail. It will definitely be there in the mail. It will be from lms@ipsrsolutions.com. If you don't see it in your inbox, it might be there. It will be there in the spam folder. Please note, we will not be sending certificates to any of you. It will be there in the LMS. You need to download it from there, and it will be accessible by Tuesday. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this webinar session. We will see you again for another webinar session next month. Thank you all. Have a pleasant evening.
Thank you all.